Good afternoon. Today we will be discussing the identification of business opportunities for entrepreneurship. We will also be discussing about the validation of an idea for starting a business and different business models. Entrepreneurship is a long journey. It is not a 100 meters race. It is a marathon. In that sense, it is not for Usain Bolt, but it is for Ethiopians. Ethiopians are smart in long races. So entrepreneurship is a long race. Daniel Eisenberg, who was a professor in Harvard Business School, has written a book titled Worthless, Impossible and Stupid. In that book, he writes, entrepreneurship is hard. It is perceived as hard, it is experienced as hard, and it is objectively hard. From the definition, it is clear that entrepreneurship is not a bed of roses. It's a hard path. Victor Hugo, one of the greatest writers who lived on this planet, has made a definition or said something about the importance of idea. There is nothing great in the world than an idea whose time has come. So idea is very important for an entrepreneur to start an entrepreneurship. Swami Vivekananda had also made some remarks about idea. Take up an idea, make that one idea your life, think of it, dream of it, live on that idea. Let the brains, muscles, nerves, and every part of your body full of that idea, and just leave every other idea alone. This is the way to success. So a business is formed from an idea. The entrepreneurial journey is full of challenges and does involve sacrifices, but it is rewarding and joyous as well. This was said by Ashok Sutta, who was one of the founders of Happiest Minds and Mindtree. Startups are as good as where they end up. This was remarked by Alex Smart. So from all these quotations, we can understand that an idea is the fountain from which a business and entrepreneurship starts. The starting point for a successful entrepreneurial venture is the right idea. There are certain key steps involved in starting an entrepreneurship. The first one is how you generate potential ideas. In order to start an enterprise, the entrepreneur has to generate a number of ideas. So you can select many broad areas to generate ideas. One of the entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, wanted to start an enterprise. So he narrowed down on three broad areas. One was education, the other one was hospitality, third one was health care. After analyzing the trends in these three areas, he decided to start a technology driven or a technology based healthcare enterprise. Second step in starting a business is how you choose the appropriate idea. So here we have seen that he thought of starting an enterprise in three areas: education, then healthcare, and hospitality. Finally, he narrowed down to one idea: to start a technology driven or technology based healthcare enterprise. Third one is how you validate your selected idea. So after selecting a potential idea, the entrepreneur has to validate. Validation means what is the product service fit with the market, whether the market will accept what you are going to offer to the customer, what is the value you are creating for the customer is one major consideration of validating your idea. All the things of the entrepreneurship or business enterprise, like developing or building an organizational structure, developing business strategy, implementation of the idea, building your team, they are all edifices built on the foundation of idea. So idea is the most important aspect of starting a new enterprise. So there is a great story about a verger written by one of the greatest short story writers the world has ever seen, Somerset Maugham. In this story, is about a verger in a church called Albert Edward. He was not an educated person. He was illiterate, and a new priest, vicar, joined the church The church was St. Peter's Church in London. The new vicar was educated, and Albert Edward was working in the church as the verger for the last 15 years, and there was no complaint about his function. So the new vicar called him and told him, see, we are looking for an educated verger. Since you are not educated, you have to leave the job. Edward was very unhappy. He had no idea how he would live if he loses the job. So with a disappointed heart, he got into the street of London. He was very tired. He was badly in need of a cup of tea, and he walked a long distance in search of a tea shop. He couldn't find one. He again walked through the street and found no tea shop to buy a tea. Then a thought came to his mind. I may not be the only person needing a tea. There could be so many people who need a cup of tea to refresh themselves. So he searched for a place to start a tea shop in that street, and he found a building. Next day, he opened a tea shop there, and down the line of 15 years, he opened many tea shops and became a rich person. One day, one of the bank managers in London called Edward and asked for a deposit. Edward was willing to make the deposit, and when the procedures were over, the bank manager asked Edward to sign some documents. Then Edward told the branch manager that if I was able to sign, if I was a literate person, I would have been the verger of St. Peter's Church. So education is not a must to become a successful entrepreneur. There is also a story about two salesmen who were sent to a country in African continent to sell sandals or slippers or chappals. One salesman went to the villages and he surveyed the people, and he found the villagers were not using any chappals or sandals, and he wrote to the head office. The villagers are not using chappals, therefore there is no market for our chappals in this country. The second salesman also surveyed the villages, and he also found the people not using the sandals and chappals, but he was very optimistic. He wrote to the office, people in this village are not using sandals, and if they are educated about the importance of using sandals and chappals, they can be motivated to buy the chappals. So this is all about the identification of a business opportunity. Every challenge, every problem is a business opportunity. Now the whole world is going through a pandemic called COVID-19. And even in India, the infection rate and the death rate are going up, and most of the business activities are locked down. This is a big challenge faced by humanity. But it is an opportunity for developing certain kinds of businesses. And we are battling with COVID-19 with the social distancing, wearing masks and personal protection equipments. And it is advised that we have to develop our immunity against this virus. The virus attack can be prevented only by developing our immunity. So there is in future scope for personal protection equipments, then developing a medicine against coronavirus, then online healthcare businesses, because social distancing is very important, then ventilators. So though it is a challenge, it is pregnant with opportunities also. Now we will look at some highly successful entrepreneurs who developed some highly successful businesses. One entrepreneur worth mentioning is Velumani, Dr. Velumani. He started a business in Mumbai called Thyrocare Diagnostics Limited. He was born in a village near Coimbatore. His parents were very poor people. He used to say that poverty was his luxury during his childhood. His father earned not even 1 rupee every day. His family was maintained by his mother, who kept 2 buffaloes, and she earned 70 rupees every week. He and his siblings lived on that paltry amount earned by his mother. And he went to a local school, studied in Tamil medium, and he used to say he went to the school with a plate in one hand and a slate in the other hand. So at that time, because of the kindness of Kamaraj, who was the chief minister of Tamil Nadu, there was midday meal. So if he had gone to the school, he would get the midday meal. Most of the time, he was not able to get even a square meal every day. After SSLC, he did his pre-degree. Then he joined a college and selected BCom. He selected BCom because BCom was cheaper than chemistry, BSc chemistry. And one of his professors told him, it is better you do chemistry. So he opted out of BCom and completed his chemistry. He was badly looking for a job to take care of his family. And he went for 50 interviews and he couldn't get even one job because every employer asked for or looked for an experienced hand. So he had no working experience. Finally, he landed up in a company which manufactured capsules, worked there for 4 years. Then the company was closed, so he lost his job. It happened in 1982. So in 1982, he took a train, Jayanti Janata, from Coimbatore to VT Bombay. He had 500 rupees with him, and he spent 75 rupees for the ticket. He knew no friends there, and he was not knowing what to do. So he slept without any food for 4 days on the platform of Bombay VT station. Next day, he applied for a job in BAFA Atomic Research Center, and he was appointed as a laboratory assistant with his qualification in chemistry. One of the questions that was asked in the interview was, where is the thyroid gland in the body of a human being? In 1982, he was not knowing where the thyroid gland was in the body of a human being. So he worked 14 years in BARC, and in 1995 he had a difference of opinion with his boss. He was asked to do some job which he declined to accept. Then the boss got wild. So that night he decided to quit the job, and he told his wife that from tomorrow he was not going to BARC. He's resigned. Wife was totally upset. She told, if you are quitting the job, I'm also quitting the job. She was working as an officer in the State Bank of India, and she was from Kumbakonam, and both decided to quit the job and do something of their own. And when he made an assessment about the capital with him, he found that he had a savings of 2 lakhs rupees, and his monthly expenditure at that time, with a 3-year-old daughter and a 5-year-old son, was around 5,000 rupees. And this 5,000 was enough to provide for 40 months. So he was feeling quite comfortable. Then he searched for a business opportunity. While he was working in BARC, he studied MSc Biochemistry, and he took a PhD from Bombay University in Thyroid Chemistry. At that time, there were so many laboratories, single laboratories in Mumbai, doing so many diagnostic tests, including cancer, thyroid, and other major diseases. He thought, I will also start a diagnostic laboratory in Mumbai, because he had core knowledge in that area. So this knowledge can be built up into a big business. So he hired a space of 200 square feet in a building, set up the machinery. His wife also joined him and started the operations. And he found that the business growing day by day. At that time, the rate of testing thyroid was 500 in many laboratories. He decided to reduce the rate to rupees 100. That means from $5, from $10. From $10, he reduced it to $2. At the time, $1 was rupees 50. So when he reduced the price from 500 or $10 to $2 or rupees 100, he got big business. The volume increased. So he bargained with the ingredients providers, and they reduced the price because he bought a large quantity of ingredients.